Hey folks, Rich Burtis from Datacom, Christchurch, New Zealand. Quick demonstration flow using, well, actually PowerApp and Flow, showing how you can turn your PowerApp into a Word document now, and also convert any HTML text that you may be bringing into your Word document into plain text. So there's two new features in preview, or connectors, sorry, or actions. Let's get the words right. Available now in Flow, HTML to text, and also Populate a Microsoft Word template. It's both in preview as well. And so what you need to do to make these work is pretty straightforward. There are some limitations at the moment, but if I walk you through how this works, let's show you. I've got my app. So this is an app presented a few weeks ago with how to create a nice looking PDF with HTML text. If I go into here, show you what it looks like. We were using the rich text fields in PowerApp, which is also in preview, to show you how you could make a new good looking PDF. And this, now you can use the same sort of process to create a Word document as well. So let's save this one and then jump into my mailbox once it's gone through, and then wait for the document to come in, and then I'll step you through how it was created. That's one from a previous run, so I won't open that just yet. Cool, and after a quick pause, here it is. Took a couple minutes to make that. The PDF actually takes less time, but the Word takes a little bit longer. So let's have a look. Let's click into it. Just a regular old email. And you can see it's a Word doc, and it's come through and it's grabbed all the information that I had in the PowerApp and put it into a Word doc, which I can then mess around with, edit, do things with if I want to, straight from Word. So you can see here it's come through as a Word item, and what you don't see in the preview mode is how these lines line up with character turns. It doesn't show that in the preview in Word, so via the email, so that's quite useful to see. So if I jump into my Word thing, so first thing you need to get is a Word doc set up as a template. So if you haven't ever created a Word doc as a template, which allows you the ability to drop in these little content controls, you need to activate the developer. I should move my screen down a little bit so you can see it. The developer tab inside of Microsoft Word, and you can just activate that via file options, and on the customize ribbon you should see under the main tabs developer. It's generally unchecked, but check it and then jump back into Word and you'll see this developer tab, and then what you can do is just select anywhere on your screen and then insert any of these controls, and then give them a name. Now what I've found through this new flow feature is that only the plain text content control is currently supported. There's some other cool ones you could add, but they're not there yet. If you can put them into your document, but they just won't show up in Flow. So put them in and then give them a name. So if you ever put in a content control, it's going to show up in a little box like so. Just click it and then grab the properties and then give it a name. Right. So that's important when your Flow, when you add it into your Flow, because you're going to want to be able to know which bits of your PowerApp content to put into which particular elements of your Word doc. Okay, so once you've got it all saved, just save it as a doc, not a dot, just a docx type template, and then whack it into a SharePoint library or OneDrive or a team library. This one's Resume 3, just in a local OneDrive here. Okay, so that's in there, just sitting there, waiting for me to go and do something with it. And then if I go and look at Flow, we'll jump out of edit mode for now. So we've got a trigger for a SharePoint item. There's a few things here which I'll talk about in a second, but the populate your Word, Microsoft Word template from your Flow. Just add it. So it's basically you go, just type in Word when you're searching. There's two actions at the moment available. We're using the populate Microsoft Word template. So grab that, and you'll find when you put in, you've got to specify your location. And then it will know areas in your SharePoint environment. So there you go. Select from a group or someone's site. You could use me as well if you wanted to. And then select the library or the folder location where your document exists, and then just click the little folder icon that to show you the picker, so you can find out where your document is, and it will only show you docx's. It won't show you .x's or anything, so just make sure you select the right one. And as soon as you do that, these fields here will populate. So these are all the little content controls that we created in the Word doc. So they'll exist, and that's one from earlier. Kind of keeps a legacy of IDs in there, but these are the ones we put together. And then I've put a whole bunch of different fields in. So this is where you can grab in SharePoint list items to go from the PowerApp. So the PowerApp submits to a column called phone number, and then I can just go through my dynamic control, grab a phone number and put it straight in, and that will just render as text. Now what I've also got, if you look at my PowerApp, is I've got rich text controls. So these guys. So because we're using a plain text control in Word, if I just put it in as it is, it's going to come through all the HTML in Word, which may be what you want, but you'll probably have to clean it up. So another cool feature that's available within Flow at the moment as a preview is converting HTML to text. And so what I've done for those 4 rich text fields, I'm converting each of them to text, and then I'm grabbing them and putting them into education, key projects, and intro. And what I've done here for professional skills is something a little different, which I'll talk about in a second, but it's the same thing, basically putting it in, and I'm swapping out the asterisk signs that I will get when I convert HTML to text, which were bullet points, and I'm changing them to hyphens. So as you can see in the Word doc, those guys, that's what I've done there for that particular one. So what you need to do if you're going to put in an HTML to text control is you need to specify the HTML that you want to convert to text. And so what I've done with that one is, I'll go grab Pro Skills, is just grab a variable, initialize a variable, give it a name, it's a string type, and then give it some HTML. You can give it a full HTML document, and then just wherever you want in your control, just put in a place, and then put the dynamic content in of the right SharePoint field that you want to put in. You can do it like that. You don't actually have to do that. You can just have it set up as the dynamic control coming in, because this is already rich text. It's already HTML, so Flow will know that it's HTML and convert it back as needed. And then you just grab it. And so if I show you how that looks, actually I won't test it, sorry, let's cancel that. I'll just jump back over here. I'll show you a previous one that's run, that succeeded, so you can see how that converts. So for education, it's basically taken, that's all the rich text field. It's a rich text field in SharePoint. It's grabbed everything, and you can see it's got all the markup that you'd expect to see inside a rich text field in SharePoint. And so that's education. And then we jump that down into HTML to text. You can see it's taken the initial content, the div, and it's pulled it all out, left me with asterisks, and each new line showing the information that we wanted to see. And then putting that into the Word template for education, again, it's just going to grab that. So it's really, really easy just to drop that in, get it going. And so to show you what I did for the professional skills, I had a bigger doc type in there, but I'm also doing something a little bit different because I'm bringing in another variable. So let's just jump out of that and go back into edit mode. What I found with the plain text controls, it's not really accepting new line or carriage return controls at the moment, so I can't easily show it nicely. It does show it when you edit the document, but doesn't show as it first comes through. So in the PDF we made, we can make that look really, really good because it accepts all the HTML markup. Sending from the flow action to convert to Word doesn't necessarily pick that up straight away. So I was working with ideas to try and create a new line variable that I could then add to the professional skills piece. And so all I did was initialize a new variable, call it new name, it's a string, and I just basically pushed enter on my keyboard and then put a little hyphen in there instead of an asterisk. And then I would convert my professional skills column variable. Okay, I've got that, and then before I put that into the Word doc, I was then running an expression on that to decode it. Let's click that so we can get it big. No, probably not going to be able to make that big. And then I was trying to do a replace. So anywhere that were found an asterisk, I was going to try and use the new line piece, and that does give me a hyphen, and it does put it onto a new line when I jump into edit mode of the document. It doesn't do it right off the bat. So if I close that preview and then we open it again as a preview, it's going to put it all in one big sort of like splurge of word or string. It's only when I push edit that's actually going to refactor itself, and it's the same for these guys as well, with the little asterisks instead. So that's a little thing we're playing with, and I hope to see that change down the track, so that the carriage returns are respected as they come through from flow into Word. I think it's just the connector that does it at the moment, so it's a bit tricky to get it to happen by default. So if you're looking for a really clean presentation, stick with converting to PDF at the moment, but if you want it to be editable, then Word's cool. You just have to go and back into the document and push enter a few times to get your new lines happening, or just leave it in edit mode. But that's a quick little clip. So to run through that again, standard trigger, just kick off the flow, set some variables which are going to be your HTML text. If you are using HTML text, if you're not, then you can just jump straight into populating a Microsoft Word template from Flow. Select a location or create a Word template, put that into a location where Flow can find it, so OneDrive or a SharePoint team site or a team or a group, into a library you know of, and then what I've done here is I'm just sending myself an email, but then you could create another file, put that somewhere else so you wouldn't keep saving over the top of the file. But yeah, drop your content in, select what you want, make sure you have plain text controls to do it, and to show you that Word doc again, just set it up, lay it out as you want, and test it out. So it's still in preview at the moment, so I'm not sure when it will go GA. It's a great start now. I'm hoping that those carriage returns, even if I do this, if I show you under properties, we do have allow carriage returns to try and force it, but that's not being, doesn't really spot that, because it's putting it in through Flow rather than as a user typing in a form field in Word sort of thing. But it gets you into the state where you can have a Power App that you can create a Word document with, and then you may have to just tweak it a little bit. So hope that's been helpful. Get any questions, just ask away or reply in the comments. Happy Power Apping.